Picture a control room at 2 a.m. A siren screams, a screen flashes incoming, and someone has minutes to decide whether to end the world, or call it a mistake. This is not a story about a villain pressing a button. It is a story about ordinary people staring at imperfect data while the clock kept shrinking. During the Cold War, nuclear war plans were built for speed. If an attack was detected, leaders might have only 10 minutes to respond. That speed created a terrifying problem. A false warning could look exactly like the real thing, until it was too late. In 1962, the Cuban Missile Crisis pushed the world to the edge. Even a single submarine encounter nearly triggered a nuclear blast. In 1979, a simple training tape in the wrong machine made U.S. computers report a massive Soviet launch that never happened. In 1983, a Soviet satellite mistook sunlight on clouds for missiles, and one officer had to decide whether to trust the screen. That same year, NATO ran a realistic drill called Able Archer. The Soviet Union feared it was a cover for a real first strike. These near misses were not rare accidents. They were warnings: complex systems fail, and human judgment becomes the last firewall. So here is the question: how many times did the world almost end, and why did it not? In the early 1960s, the Cold War had reached a dangerous balance. Both the United States and the Soviet Union possessed nuclear weapons capable of destroying entire nations. Each side feared a surprise nuclear attack. Military planners believed that whoever struck first might gain a decisive advantage, even if the world paid the ultimate price. Cuba sat only 90 miles from the coast of Florida. Its location made it a perfect strategic platform for nuclear weapons aimed directly at American cities. After the failed Bay of Pigs invasion, Cuban leader Fidel Castro feared another American attempt to overthrow his government, pushing Cuba closer to the Soviet Union. Soviet leader Nikita Khrushchev saw an opportunity. By placing missiles in Cuba, he could protect an ally and dramatically shift the nuclear balance. Missiles and launch equipment were shipped secretly to Cuba under the cover of routine military aid, hidden from American intelligence as long as possible. In October 1962, an American U-2 spy plane photographed missile sites under construction, revealing the Soviet plan and triggering an international crisis. When the photographs reached Washington, officials were stunned. Nuclear missiles were being placed dangerously close to the United States mainland. President John F. Kennedy faced impossible choices: do nothing and appear weak, attack Cuba and risk war, or find a path no one had tried before. Kennedy assembled a secret group of advisors known as XCOM, where debates were intense and opinions sharply divided on how to respond. Military leaders strongly recommended airstrikes or invasion, warning that delay could make the missiles operational and far more dangerous. Kennedy feared that an attack on Cuba could trigger a chain reaction, drawing the Soviet Union into direct conflict and possibly nuclear war. Instead of an immediate attack, Kennedy chose a naval blockade, carefully calling it a quarantine, to avoid an official act of war. As American ships moved into position, the world watched anxiously, knowing that a single confrontation at sea could ignite global catastrophe. Soviet ships approached the blockade line. For hours, no one knew whether they would turn back or push forward into confrontation. At the last moment, several Soviet ships slowed and turned away, offering a brief sense of relief but leaving the crisis unresolved. Despite the naval standoff, the missiles in Cuba remained. Time was running out as construction continued on launch sites. Private messages flowed between Washington and Moscow, attempting to find a solution that would allow both sides to step back without humiliation. Khrushchev sent emotional letters to Kennedy, warning of disaster while searching for a way to end the crisis peacefully. Some messages from Moscow sounded conciliatory, while others were threatening, creating confusion about Soviet intentions. When a U-2 spy plane was shot down over Cuba, pressure surged. Many believed retaliation was inevitable. Unknown to the Americans, Soviet submarines near the blockade carried nuclear torpedoes, and one nearly launched during a tense encounter. One officer, Vasily Arkhipov, refused to authorize a nuclear launch, insisting that the situation did not justify ending the world. Eventually, a deal was reached: the Soviet Union would remove missiles from Cuba, and the United States would quietly remove missiles from Turkey. The Cuban Missile Crisis ended without nuclear war, but later evidence showed how close humanity came to total destruction. After the Cuban Missile Crisis, leaders promised to reduce the risk of accidental war. But the systems guarding nuclear weapons grew faster and more complex. Early warning systems were designed to act in seconds. The logic was simple: speed could mean survival, but hesitation could mean defeat. As computers entered military command centers, decision-making shifted from people to machines, reducing reaction time but increasing reliance on data accuracy. Computers do not understand context or intent. They only process inputs, and a single faulty signal can create a deadly illusion of certainty. During the Cold War, leaders knew the greatest risk might not be an enemy attack, but a false alarm mistaken for one. In 1979, the United States faced one of its most serious false alarms when computers at NORAD reported a massive Soviet missile launch. Radar screens suddenly showed hundreds of incoming missiles. Alarms sounded, and protocols moved rapidly toward possible retaliation. Military officers had only minutes to confirm the data, contact leadership, and prepare a response that could change human history forever. Before acting, officials checked other radar systems and satellites. Crucially, these systems showed no evidence of an actual attack. The alert was eventually traced to a training tape accidentally loaded into the live system, simulating a nuclear attack that was never real. There was no external enemy action. No hostile launch. Just a technical error that nearly pushed the world toward nuclear war. This incident was not unique. Other false alarms occurred across decades, often caused by software glitches, sensors, or misinterpreted signals. The Soviet Union faced similar risks. Its own early warning systems were vulnerable to errors, pressure, and limited verification time. In 1983, Cold War tensions were high again. Military exercises and political rhetoric convinced many leaders that war was becoming more likely. That same year, Soviet early warning satellites reported what appeared to be an American missile launch heading toward the USSR. The officer on duty was Stanislav Petrov. According to protocol, he should report the alert as a confirmed attack. Petrov noticed inconsistencies. The system reported only a few missiles, not a full-scale strike, which made the alert suspicious. Reporting the alert could trigger retaliation. Ignoring it could mean failing to warn of real destruction. The responsibility was overwhelming. Petrov chose to wait. He trusted his intuition over the machine and reported the alert as a false alarm. The alert was later confirmed to be caused by sunlight reflecting off clouds, confusing the satellite sensors. Petrov was not rewarded. His actions violated protocol, and the incident remained secret for years. Only decades later did the world learn that one quiet decision may have prevented nuclear war. These incidents revealed a hard truth: automated systems amplify both speed and error. In each near miss, survival depended on humans who questioned the data instead of obeying it blindly. The pattern was clear. Nuclear war almost began not because of intent, but because of error, pressure, and trust in machines. Not all near misses were caused by machines or faulty sensors. Some were caused by human misunderstanding during moments meant to feel routine. Throughout the Cold War, both NATO and the Soviet Union regularly conducted large-scale military exercises to prepare for potential conflict. From a distance, training exercises often looked identical to real attack preparations, especially when viewed through intelligence reports. As tensions increased, each side began interpreting the other's actions through the lens of fear, expecting deception rather than reassurance. In 1983, NATO launched an exercise called Able Archer 83, designed to simulate the transition from conventional war to nuclear release. Unlike previous drills, Able Archer used new communication methods, realistic command structures, and simulated nuclear authorization procedures. Soviet intelligence closely monitored the exercise and noticed unfamiliar patterns that resembled preparations for a real first strike. Soviet leaders feared that the exercise might be a cover for an actual nuclear attack, exploiting the element of surprise. In response, the Soviet Union quietly raised the readiness of its nuclear forces, preparing bombers and missile units. NATO commanders were unaware of the Soviet reaction. From their perspective, Able Archer remained only a training exercise. What one side saw as routine readiness, the other interpreted as imminent threat. Perception, not reality, drove decisions. There were no direct hotlines explaining intentions. Silence allowed fear to fill the gaps. Soviet intelligence officers were under pressure to detect an attack early, knowing that failure could be catastrophic. If Able Archer had continued escalating, Soviet leaders might have felt compelled to act before it was too late. The exercise ended without incident. Only then did Soviet forces gradually stand down. At the time, NATO never realized how close Able Archer came to triggering a real nuclear response. Years later, declassified documents revealed how dangerously the exercise had been misinterpreted. Able Archer showed that near misses did not require malfunctioning machines. Ordinary actions could be enough. There were no villains in this story. Only systems and people reacting under fear and uncertainty. Global stability depended on assumptions, guesses, and restraint rather than perfect control. Despite these warnings, military doctrines continued to emphasize readiness and speed over clarity. Chance played a role. Timing, weather, and individual decisions prevented escalation. Most people never noticed these moments. Life continued as usual, unaware of how close disaster had come. The real danger was not a single event, but a system where misunderstanding could escalate faster than communication. By the late Cold War, the world had survived multiple near misses. But the underlying risks remained unresolved. By the end of the Cold War, humanity had survived not because systems worked perfectly, but because catastrophe was avoided repeatedly by chance and restraint. There were no winners in these stories. Every near miss revealed how close total destruction had come without a single weapon being fired. The Cold War ended, but nuclear weapons did not disappear. Many of the same systems, or their modern versions, still exist today. Modern technology has made detection and response faster than ever before, reducing human reaction time even further. Cyber threats, automation, and artificial intelligence introduce new uncertainties that Cold War planners never imagined. Despite these advances, the final decision still rests with humans, just as it did decades ago. The pressure to act quickly has never gone away. In moments of crisis, hesitation and obedience can feel equally dangerous. These near misses teach a powerful lesson: safety depends not only on technology, but on skepticism, patience, and courage. The people who stopped disaster were not heroes by title. They were ordinary individuals who questioned what they were told to do. If any one of these decisions had gone the other way, history would have ended differently, or not continued at all. Most of these moments passed unnoticed, hidden behind secrecy and routine, while the world carried on as usual. Understanding these stories is not about fear. It is about recognizing how fragile global safety truly is. As long as nuclear weapons exist, responsibility does not disappear. It simply moves forward to the next generation. The world has come frighteningly close to ending before. It may come close again, quietly, without warning. If this story changed how you think about nuclear weapons and human decision-making, consider sharing your thoughts below, and subscribe for more History Explained Simply.